This is the Soul Holla podcast.
Every week, we bring you mystical accounts from forgotten folklore to the fringes of consciousness.
Exactly. If you have ever felt there was more to this reality than what you are being told, you've come to the right place. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Brenna, and we are your hosts on this weekly journey. Welcome to Soul Holla. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our podcast, Soul Holla Podcast. And this week, we're going to be talking about near-death experiences. We have some stories to tell. We have some sidebars that kind of link it all together. And it should be a pretty interesting show. So, Rachel, why don't you start us off, and what do you have to say about near-death experiences, and have you ever kicked the bucket and come back?
Yeah, it's near death, and death is not the end anyway, as we know it, so we know that there's more. I've been super fascinated by this subject for quite a while. I think it's very interesting because the people that do have near-death experiences talk about very similar things. There's themes that are like without fail overlapping. Like there's a Venn diagram. There's a bunch in the middle.
Okay, yeah. And the story I'm going to tell, it'll be a short one. And I don't know if I want to just quickly tell it and then you say, oh, yeah, that's a common theme. I only know about near-death. Okay, I only know about near-death experiences from what I've read. I haven't personally experienced one. I haven't talked to a lot of people who have, but I did one day talk to a guy who had. And so I'm just going to give it a real quick, and then you tell me if it's one of those underlining themes. It seems like I've read somewhere, some time in my life, that there was something similar I read. But this guy, he's a vet. He was in one of the special forces. I don't remember which one. He was over in the Middle East. He had some men. He was kind of in charge. They were on a rooftop and they took fire. They started taking fire, and he got hit in the chest a couple of times, which knocked him backwards, but he had his bulletproof vest stuff on. Mm-hmm. And then he got hit in the head. These are high caliber. And then he got hit in the chest again, and between the headshot, which kind of knocked him out, he was shot in the head, and the new shot in the chest, where he basically went backwards, fell off the roof all the way down to the ground. His men eventually got him. He was pronounced dead. He was dead from his injuries. And so he was dead, and I don't remember how long he said he was dead. It was a little while, though. And I didn't know this guy. I had just met him. He was renting in a little apartment with his wife. That was close to 2 doors down from where my mom and stepdad were renting while they were having a cabin built in the woods. So anyway, that's how I met him, just randomly, kind of like that. Cool. And so I said, hey, well, tell me about it. He goes, oh, no, I can't talk about it. And I said, well, come on, you can't just leave me hanging. And he goes, oh, it was horrible. It was just so horrible. And he goes, I am a devout Christian now. I have the love of Jesus Christ in my heart, and I'm never turning back, and I do nothing but I try to be the best person I can. So it totally changed him. He was not like that before. What little I could get out of him is that he says, I ended up in hell. And I said, well, I doubt you were actually in hell. And he goes, no, you don't know. I was in hell, and it was horrible. And so he's like, it was torturous and just absolutely, he goes, if there's any chance that when I die again, for good, I'm going to end up there, I'm going to do everything in my power never to end up there. And so he became a Christian, and he's very devout and whatnot. And it just fundamentally changed his beliefs and whatnot. So what say you about that? It seems like it's kind of a common one.
Well, that's super interesting. I feel like people, so we have our field around us, right? So like anything that we think of goes into our field. So if we're somebody who thinks, like if he was somebody who thought like, man, I'm such a bad person, I'm going to go to hell when I die.
I think he was raised Catholic, so he had a lot of that in there. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Possession
So people
and everything else, so.
Yeah, so if there's like a belief structure or a construct in our, or like a really strong belief structure in our field, then when we die, we're going to experience that first, because we kind of have to like go into it. I mean, this is what I've heard. I only know this because I've listened and read a lot of near-death experiences where they get in that first, like this one woman, she was in like sort of a purgatory or hell place where she was being like tortured by, oh man, it was terrible, all these bad things. But it was, and then she went into the love. So the love is the most common thing. Not everybody goes to the purgatory place.
Right.
But almost everybody talks about this overwhelming love that is so powerful that they really don't want to come back. A lot of them are told they do have to come back. Like, no, I'm sorry, you're not done. Yeah, you have to come back.
You're not, this is not your death experience. This is just an experience for you.
Yeah.
Now get gone. Get your ass back there.
Now you have to go back. I mean, a lot of people report floating above their bodies. They can see their bodies. They see what, like, how it's happened. I have a friend who had a really bad car accident, and she similar thing. Like, she went out of her body, and then she could see kind of a bird's eye view of the car accident. And then when she was in the hospital, she kind of followed her body to the hospital. And then
that's funny.
She went back in because she was told she had to, but she had this feeling of overwhelming, like huge, like such love. She did not want to come back. Like it just felt like a warm embrace, like everything.
My mom, I forgot that you saying that. My mom told me that after she had my brother, he was the last kid that she had complications and she was in surgery, and she had a near-death experience. And she said just saw herself floating above her body. And she goes, it was so warm and nice. And I just saw myself floating. And the further I got away, she goes, the more light there was and the more she goes, it was so pleasant. And then she goes, and then all of a sudden, I was like being sucked back. And she goes, and then all of a sudden, bam, I'm back in my body, and I became conscious, and da-da-da-da-da. So,
wow.
So, yeah, definitely being able to see your body, because you can experience that, just having out-of-body experiences. Same diff. Mm-hmm. It's like your consciousness, your soul leaves your avatar, and, does all kinds of stuff. So
yeah. I mean, my grandma also had one when she was giving birth to one of my mom's older siblings, and it was birth complications, and she did leave her body and floated above and did similar things. She felt really loved them, and the farther felt so much love. The farther away she got, the more she I feel so light and easy and and free. And then she was presented with the choice of well, you can leave, but you can also go back. And she decided to come back because of her family. And I'm grateful because she wouldn't have had my mom and I wouldn't be here, or I'd be in a different family or something. But so those are really common themes, and I've never had one, but I feel like before I figured out that you can have out-of-body experiences without the near-death, I was like, man, maybe I do want a near-death experience. How do
I used to think the same thing, but then I'm like, if I have a near-death experience, that's, am I going to be a paraplegic afterwards? Am I ever going to be able to walk? Am I going to be able to talk ever? Do I go blind? Usually it's pretty catastrophic if you die.
Right.
And then you come back. Now, there are miraculous things, too, where people come back and they're just healed. Why don't you tell me about that cancer lady?
Yeah, so somebody who's really well-known by anybody who's kind of into this stuff her name is Anita Morjani, And she was like somebody who was super healthy. She tried to do all the healthy things, but she had this huge fear of cancer. And fear and stress are like the number one hard things on our body. Like our body just tends to shut down and it does not do well. It does not flourish. And so even though somebody can be doing all the right things, quote unquote, all the right things, but they are in that shutdown state, our bodies just tend to like really go to a bad place. And hers did. She got cancer, the thing that she was the most afraid of. And by the time she went to the hospital for it, it was not the first time. She'd had different things that seemed to work, but then it didn't work anymore. And it was like, the place of being in her bones and like super bad. She had a near-death experience where she was gone for a good chunk of time, and she was floating throughout the hospital. She heard conversations of people talking about her, the doctor talking about her. She did go beyond being able to meet her dad, who had already passed, and she and her dad did not have a good relationship, but in the afterlife, or that out of body near-death experience state, she made peace with him. Did
he show up at all, or
he showed up?
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
he
cool.
showed up, and
he finally showed up.
He showed up in his full love self, and she was able to relate to him in her full love self, and they healed. That relationship healed while she was having this experience. And there were other things too. I don't remember all of it. But she came back in after being gone for, I want to say hours, maybe 4 to 6 hours. Some people are just gone for minutes or, not long at all, 30 minutes or something. But she was gone a good significant amount of time. But when she's on the other side, she said it did not feel it felt like a really long
no time. Yeah.
And then she came back and was told how long she was gone. But so she came back, and then within 4 weeks, she was telling people, no, I was in another place, you guys, and she was telling them the conversations are how did you hear those conversations, and how did you even know? And she's like, well, because I was, and she told them, and people didn't believe her. But then within I think it was about 4 weeks, her cancer was completely gone. Right away, her cancer started healing, but then within 4 weeks, I want to say it was 4 weeks. It was gone completely, and they had no logical explanation for
That's amazing.
that happening.
Yeah.
That defies all the odds. That it was so throughout her body and then gone.
Did she come to having that out of body experience? Did she have one experience in that state, or a few, to help her get over the fear of the cancer? Is that what helped turn it all around?
She said the love. So when she came back, she brought that love with her. Okay. And that's what
light,
infused, came into her whole body, and that's what created the healing, was the love.
Yeah. Love, light, love.
Yeah. And she just, I think she said, I saw her fairly recently on a podcast where she said she can still tune, that love is still there. I like that
That's
feeling.
Awesome.
I think it can and does fade for people. But she said it's still there. And I think she really nurtures it. And she goes around and she talks about it and
That's awesome.
helps people.
And why don't you say her name nice and slow in case somebody wants to look her up?
Okay. Her name is Anita, Anita Moorjani, and I believe it is spelled Moorjani. She's from India, or she was maybe from these states, but her family's from India.
Okay, cool.
And she wrote a couple books. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a tiny sidebar. It's interesting.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's interesting, and it kind of goes along with the whole being scared of cancer. So the actor who plays Dexter, what's his name?
Yeah.
Anthony something.
I know
something.
exactly who you're talking
whatever,
about, but
whatever his name is, Dexter guy. His father apparently got throat cancer in his 40s, and I'm just going to throw out a number. I can't remember. 45 or 46 or 44, something like that. Got throat cancer, and it killed him. And so Michael something, Dexter, the actor known as Dexter, he grew up super afraid that he was going to get cancer at 44 or whatever, whenever his father got it. And guess what happened? When he turned that birthday, he ended up, not on the birthday necessarily, but at that same age, he got throat cancer. Dexter did.
Wow.
The actor.
Michael C. Hall. I just looked it up.
Michael C. Hall. Michael C. Hall got throat cancer at the same age, rather, as his father did. But he, probably because technology is a little bit better now, or he realized that he created it himself, probably just by the fear. Anyway, he obviously didn't die because there's a new season of Dexter, but
which is a great show.
Yeah. But anyway, so there you go. There's another little tiny story. It has nothing to do with out-of-body experiences, but mind over matter, baby. And yeah,
that fear.
And that is not always how cancer manifests. That's one way it can.
Yeah.
There's a plethora. So anyway, though, I thought that was kind of interesting. And when you were telling the story, I'm like, oh, the Dexter guy did the same thing, you know? So
yeah, that's pretty common actually for people. This is another thing I've just come across, for people who have parents who die of a certain thing, and if they have a lot of fear about it, it will often come true for them, like, or they'll manifest or experience some version of it. So interesting.
Yeah.
How that happens. So now, Brenna, I know you were a hypnotherapist for a while, and so that you talked to a lot of people and had probably some anything about that came up while you're doing hypnotherapy or working as a hypnotherapist?
Nope.
Oh, interesting. Not at all. Oh, okay.
Yes. It's a technique that you can do. Let me give you a little background behind it. So it's Robert Newton is his name. He has books called Journey of the Soul, or they're escaping me right now. But anyway, he's got a few books.
Is it Life After Life also him?
That's him. Yeah, Life After Life. Okay. He coined the term Life After Life, and that is the space that we find ourselves in after we die permanently, not come back. Christians might call it heaven, but it's very regimented. There's things that everybody does there, and yada, yada, yada. And
someone welcoming them at the gate, so to speak, and then, you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this.
Yeah, here's this. And if people need a good healing, and they get washed with this, and that also came up in hypnosis as well. You get washed with white light, and it's just, people describe it the same way. And in his books, people described it the same way. And it was just like, it was like taking a shower in light love.
Wow.
And their soul just kind of, and it helps them forget about all the earthly shit that was still kind of concerning to them, like the family they left behind, or regrets, or whatever. And then they have a life review in front of a council. Yada. Okay, but anyway, this guy, Newton, Dr. Newton, he's a psychiatrist, and he didn't believe in any of that stuff. He was a run-of-the-mill AMA type, ain't no spirit kind of guy.
Material man.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a material world, yes.
Yeah. And so he, Dr. Newton, didn't believe in any of it, and he decided to prove everybody wrong. But one thing that kept coming up when he would put people into hypnosis and them to talk about their issues and stuff is they would suddenly it's like it was like a different person would pop in almost. And they're like, oh no, it's me. But this is my lifetime, 4 lifetimes ago, or this was my last lifetime, or da, da, da. And so then he really was like, nope, this doesn't exist. And it's so...
Because that's also pointing to reincarnation.
Yes.
Which a lot of people in the Western world don't believe in. A lot of other countries do, but we...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it also, it's, oh, we have a soul. We have something that goes on. You mean we're not just worm bait, So he didn't believe any of it. But over the years, just because he wanted to prove it all a bunch of hooey, he started to go, these people don't know each other. He literally had thousands of cases. And so then he got really curious, again, just to prove it all wrong. And he would take, this is the technique that I started to tell you about. The technique is he would take somebody back to a past life, which is easy peasy to do. Okay. And he had experienced it thousands of times. So he had almost gotten to the point where he's like, no, they're going somewhere. They have very intricate memory of stuff. Like they can't, and their whole demeanor changes, like they're speaking as they would, anyway.
Somebody with an accent or different.
Yeah. And knowledge and just all this knowledge that like they would never have known. But, and so he would take them to a past life and say, on the count of 3, or however he does it, I want you to go to the last minute of your life in that lifetime, in your current lifetime, because they're in a past life now. And they go to their death, basically. They get to experience their death. And I did it to a couple people. Oh my gosh, this one gal, she started screaming bloody murder because she was being stabbed to death. And
holy moly.
Yeah, it was really crazy. And I was like going, oh my gosh. It was at the very beginning when I started doing hypnosis. And I was like, wow, this is intense. But basically, and then the person has the dying experience. And this is what made him a believer, is that it was almost verbatim what happens after you die. And you're going to have to read the books, people, because I'm not going to tell you all the levels. But you kind of probably, it would behoove everyone to know what happens after death, so you're not surprised by any of it, But basically, it's
what's his name again?
Robert Newton.
Okay, Robert Newton.
We'll look him up just to make sure I have the right name. Robert Newton, Journey of the Soul. But anyway, yeah. And so over the course of time and thousands of documented cases, he has basically almost like a roadmap or a Google Heaven, a Google Earth, like
yeah,
a Google Soul Realm. Basically, he's like, it's so cut and paste that it's like everybody experiences the same thing. So why am I bringing all this up? Michael Newton. I didn't think Robert was right. It did sound right. I think I was thinking of Robert Monroe. Yeah, Michael Newton. Okay, Michael Newton. Bottom line is, the reason why we're talking about this, it's not necessarily a near-death experience. It's someone's death experience. And they verbatim, they don't go to some purgatory. They don't go here. They don't go there. They go to the soul space. And if they are harboring some nasty stuff, then it's dealt with in a very logical way. And there's basically the only judge is the soul to itself. And then they start learning and carrying on and planning other lifetimes and whatnot. It is very regimented, and even in the Law of One, Ross says there are just as many laws and rules and everything in, as Ross calls it, time-space instead of space-time, which is, this is space-time and they say space, time-space. Michael Newton says LBL space, life between life space. Very robust, and there's a plethora of steps that all souls go through after you die. But when people have these near-death experiences, they can be all over the place. That's when some of their belief stuff comes into play with demons or angels or anything in between. Maybe a Buddhist sees Buddha or somebody, or one of the gurus. And then that's when sometimes they're given a choice. That's when they sometimes feel that love and come back and can use it. That's so near-death experiences can be a whole plethora of experiences because they're not a true death experience. If they truly, it was their time to go, they are dead, no longer on planet Earth in their current body, then there's a whole bunch of steps that you go through. And so it's interesting that you can have a near-death experience and it's nothing like an actual death experience.
Right, and people get a little confused by that. And I think another thing that people get confused by, I did, and the only reason I'm saying this is because I didn't realize when you have sleep paralysis, the same thing can happen. Where if I used to be, a God-fearing, demon-believing Christian.
Yeah,
And
me
so,
too.
Yeah. So, so then, what I was saying, let's see. So then when I'd have sleep paralysis, I would think of,
Demons.
I would often have like a demon come in, but that was because that's a thought form that's in my field that I have to first, that's going to pop in because that's what I'm afraid of. So if I have that fear about it, it's going to be there until.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't help that you, like, I've had that too, and you feel pressure on your chest. You feel like there's a presence on top of you, kind of smothering you. And who's to say there isn't?
Well, I've done a lot of looking into that too, and there's somebody that I follow that I'm listening to quite a bit named Darius J. Wright, and he has done extensive out-of-body trips, I guess you could say, or out-of-body where he leaves his body, and he does it in a way that is very
What's his name?
Methodical. Darius J. Wright.
Okay.
He's all over YouTube. There's a lot of people that have
I want to
interviewed
say,
him.
I want to say that I might have read something he wrote. I don't know if he wrote books or an article, but I think I've read something about it. Anyway, go.
Yeah, he's been interviewed by quite a few people because he has started when he was really young, 16, doing these sort of out-of-body. He learned how to control it. He had sleep paralysis, same thing happened. And he's learned that, he explains it like this, when our body shuts down for the night and it turns off, so to speak, then we have that pressure and all of that, but we don't always know it or feel it unless our brain is still awake. And if our brain is still awake and we wake up and then we have that sort of where the body is starting to separate from the soul is starting to separate from the body, and it's an electromagnetic current, and before it breaks, there's like, we'll hear noises.
Yeah, like roaring almost.
Yeah, roaring or trains or like almost like a shh.
Yeah,
I kind of hear like a lot of whooshing.
Yeah, like when I say roaring, I don't mean like an animal, but like.
Yeah, whoo, like it gets loud.
It's super weird. Loud, and it's like all encompassing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so if we're awake for that, like, and that is an ideal place to be to get out of body. Mm-hmm. But if there's fear, then we'll go right back in and we won't be able to get out. But with the being able to say, okay, this is me controlling me controlling this experience, and I don't have any fear about dying because I know there's nothing that can hurt me, then there's the opportunity to get out and go fly or do all the things. Yeah.
I had a lot of those growing up, and it would throw me for a loop for days. I would feel like I would feel like oh my gosh, I think I'm possessed now, because I would feel oppressed. I would feel like so weirded out by the whole experience. It would freak me out, I tell you what. And then later in my life, this is before the days of internet. I'm not 400 years old, but I am Gen X. Okay, and so it really just throw me for a loop.
We know you're not super old.
Yeah, I was just, I'm nearly 400. I said I'm nearly 400, not 400 itself. But no, picking up where I was. So anyway, it would throw me for a loop until later I read an article, and a guy described exactly what I was experiencing, that we now have a word for it, sleep paralysis. Okay. There was never a word for it as I grew up. Mm-mm. And it happened all the time as a child and teenager and even into my 20s. And then I finally read an article, and I was probably in my late 20s, maybe mid to late 20s. And then it happened, and I thought, oh, this is what this means. It's not even something to be fearful of. And then I had it was brief, but I did have an out-of-body experience. And it was not, I would have got a 0 in performance, because I went somersaulting out of my body. I was like, ah, and then all of a sudden, and I'm like up on the ceiling. And then I turn around and I look at my body, and I look at my dog on the floor with his cover on. And I was like, what? And I even yelled in that state, my body. I'm back in my body. Damn it.
Yeah,
because
any sort of
whereas you can't have fear going into it, because you won't have that experience. You'll just be fearful and think it's a demon or something. you can't have fear, but you can't also have excitement and joy and you can't have the high emotions.
To stay neutral.
You have to stay neutral. Otherwise, it'll pop you right back into your body.
Yeah. The body's like, oh, something's happening. Come back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really frustrating because I get happy now when I have like a lucid dream, or on the off chance that I still once in a while have an out of body experience, I get so giddy about it that like 30 seconds later, I'm back in my body and I'm just like, profanity is flying in the air at that point going, mother effer, like, why can't I just stay chill? It's interesting that, you're Gen X too, and that you had sleep paralysis because you also grew up in a Christian household like I did, and it was God, it was the devil, and there's human beings, and that's it.
Yeah,
there's three things.
Yep.
And
check 3 boxes.
And so if it's not an angel and it's not me or somebody I know, it's got to be a demon.
Yeah.
And so
mine often would be I'd see behind me. I was facing one way, but behind me, I could see the face of a devil or a demon.
Really?
And
See,
it was like, oh yeah.
I would just feel it. I literally.
But I also
feel
felt
hands
it,
and hands
digging
on me
in.
too. One time it happened, and this was when I was in my 30s, and I could feel it starting to come. Because now I could feel it starting to happen.
Yep.
It's almost like electric current. That's what it really feels like.
It really is.
It's like, and that's all it really is. It's your magnetism. It's your morphic field, and it doing other stuff with your soul. Blah blah blah. But I felt it coming up, and I stayed calm, and I was like, okay. And then I'm like, I'm gonna try to open my eyes because I could still think, and I could hardly open my eyes because my body was asleep, but my mind was still going, just like your guy said. That's exactly what it was. But I managed to open my eyes just slightly. And you know what I saw? I saw white lights, like tons of them.
Ooh.
I could see the room, but I could also see all these white lights. So it was pretty cool. Yeah. And then I had a brief one. And as soon as I left, I was like, oh, yay. Then I'm back. And I'm like, mother effer. I just stayed calm and had the lights, and then I screwed all up.
So that's cool though that you had that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people who report getting out of their body, like they do see things like that, or their room is like their room but a little bit different, or and they can feel everything. Like if they have a wood floor, they can feel on their feet, like they feel all the grains of wood. Like everything is very alive, and I feel like so our soul, that's our soul, like, which looks a lot like ourselves, walking around feeling all of that, and there's other places we can go from there. So it's really, it is really exciting to think about options.
It is, and we have so much more to talk about, and we are already about 35 minutes in, so I think we're going to make this a part 1, and we will do a part 2 and get that out after we get this one out. So stay tuned for that. We drop on Tuesdays. And if you like, please hit the thumbs up. And if you feel so inclined, go ahead and hit that subscription. And
subscribe
and if you really, really like us, then hit the notification. I never hit the notification on anybody's because I'm like, I know when their stuff comes out. But if you feel so inclined and you're not as, then hit that notification too, and it'll give you a little buzz when we drop our next one, which are now on Tuesdays. So
share and leave comments as well, because that lets YouTube know that we're doing cool things.
Yeah.
So
also, if you have subject that you would like us to talk about and do research, I mean, between the two of us, we have a lot of our own experiences. And so we're bringing that to the table, but we also do some research before we do all these, just to be fresh and know what topics we're talking about, and especially the more fringy ones. And so if there's something you want us to talk about, let us know. All right, everybody. Until the next time. Thanks for listening and take care.
Yes, thanks for listening. Soul
Holla.